Hello everyone, and thanks for coming back to watch part 2 of Mr. Mike Builds a Guitar. In this video, we're going to cover a few major steps in the build. We'll start by resawing the face of the guitar on the bandsaw, so we get a piece of wood that mirrors itself. Then we move on to do a quick refresh on the planer by planing the full body slab to thickness. I didn't film the glue up of the face and slab, so we'll skip to the unclamping of the body and the face glue up. And then things wrap up by marking out the body using the template number 1 to get everything ready for shaping. There's a lot happening in this part of the build, and it really starts to feel like I know what I'm doing a bit. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Next, we're going to resaw the boards on the bandsaw. Resawing is a term that is used where we split a board in half or into multiple pieces on the bandsaw. What is the purpose of resawing lumber? Well, not only does resawing lumber make the material go further, but you can also get a nice mirrored grain match between two pieces. It is very important to resaw large pieces of lumber in a wood shop to help save on cost of material. You can also get really gorgeous pieces when wood mirrors itself. So how do we resaw lumber in half? First, we're going to measure our material, and then we're going to divide it in half. We're aiming to cut this piece right down the center of it. We use the bandsaw for a couple reasons. The bandsaw has a smaller kerf compared to a table saw, so our two halves match better while using a kerf of about 1/16 of an inch on the bandsaw compared to the kerf of 1/8 of an inch on the table saw. The bandsaw, there is also no kickback compared to when we're cutting on the table saw. When selecting the top wood, I sorted through about 320 pieces of tiger wood trying to find ones that I liked. I was looking for stuff that had grain lines going perpendicular to the face of the material. This would ensure that when I resawed it, I would get a nice mirror pattern. I looked for a board that I thought had a lot of nice contrast in between the two ring types. This first piece, I ended up with a gorgeous flame pattern after resawing it in half. I then went on to resaw the second half of the board and ended up with some nice rings. When the two halves were put together, it looked like somebody who hadn't slept in a while. So I nicknamed the second two boards Insomnia. The second one is the one I ended up using for this project, but both are extremely gorgeous pieces that will make a beautiful guitar face. Once we have our pieces resawed, I take them to the planer just to get a little layer off the middle part that was just cut, so it's nice and flat. And then I can flip them over and plane the backside. We want to get the two pieces to one consistent thickness between the two of them. We really don't want to take too much off of the inside because then our patterns don't match as nicely. Our glued up slab is now dry, so we can take it over to the planer to get both sides perfectly flat before we glue our top on. We are aiming to be about 44 mils thick. Our top is 7 mils thick and the main body is about 40 mils thick. So we're going to do a couple passes. We're aiming to be about 44 mils, and right now we're sitting at about 47 mils. 2 to 3 passes through the machine should be enough to take off that extra 3 mils. We're going to leave a little bit of wiggle room for sanding. I apologize, I am bilingual in measurements, so you'll hear me flip between the two measurements quite a bit during this build. So why is it important to get both sides perfectly flat? We need to have a flat body and a flat top wood to ensure we don't have any weird gaps on our glue up. Having a fat glue line is a weak point that could result in separation. So why waste time having a body comprised of two different species? Well, knotty alder can be nice looking wood, but for my personal taste, I'd rather have something looking that is a little more wild grain pattern. If I were to make the whole guitar out of tiger wood, it would be so dense and it would cost so much more compared to using knotty alder for the body and tiger wood for the top. I'm getting an affordable guitar that is lightweight, has a gorgeous front face. Other beautiful woods can be substituted in for tiger wood, but this is what I had available at my local supplier, so I made the best out of it. Back to the planer. We set up the machine to take off minimal to get our desired thickness. When using this machine, measure between each pass to ensure you didn't take too much material off. One rotation of the wheel is about 1/16 of an inch, so about 1.5 millimeters. Remember, we can always take off more wood, but we can't put material back, so more small passes are better than one large pass. We get our body planed down to our desired 37 millimeters thick, so once we add the top on, we'll be about 44 mils, which we're aiming for. I measure both body and face once again to ensure I'm the correct thickness. Alright, let's get to unclamping this. So like I said, we use these clamping calls with a little bit of cut on them to help us ensure that we're clamping the boards tight to one another. We're just removing the clamps after clamping up. I like to start at one end and work my way to the other end. If we were to clamp the ends first and work towards the middle, we're just pushing the glue to the middle, and then we're going to end up with a fat glue joint, which could end up failing in the future. When removing the clamps, there's not really a particular order I go. I like to start at one end and work my way towards the other end, going in like a circular motion. I love having these clamping calls on hand. I like to have extra clamping calls kicking around at my glue table to ensure that when I go to glue something up, everything goes smooth and according to plan. Always get your materials gathered up at your bench before gluing up. The last thing you want to be doing is running around scrambling to get clamps together. Trying to get everything together while your glue is setting up is the last thing you want to be doing. Once I'm done with these clamping calls, I'm just going to put them back on the window frame there and use them for future projects. And yeah, look at this gorgeous piece. Overall, the two ovals still look like somebody who's wide awake and who hasn't slept in a couple days. So insomnia is looking to be a fitting name for this. Okay, so first I'm going to measure the center of my pickup slots. So with 3 inches, so that'll be 1.5 inches. And I'll measure down here as well. Right there, 1.5 inches. Okay, and then I'm going to draw a line from this. And this will be my center line. My center line, I'm going to find the middle of the grain and line that up there. Okay, so that's the middle of my guitar. So, my glue line is right here. The joint. Okay? I'm going to mark it in a couple of places. I'll send the pencil marks off when I do my final sanding. So this will line up like that. Now I also need to find out how much oversized my top board is. So my top board ends here. So I've gone ahead and I've marked that on both sides. There and there. Should I even pick it up on the camera? Yeah, we're good. Okay. So I've gone ahead, mark that out there and there. I will then go here and draw a line across from there to there. So that is for sure getting cut off. Now my glue line is here. And that is the center. So now it just kind of becomes, where do I want this to land? So I think we're pretty good right about there. A little bit there, a little bit cut off here. I do have a little bit of a crack right here as well. So with that crack, I'm a little concerned about that. I don't think it's going to spread. It's actually started cracking off the piece. So I'm thinking it's because the moisture from the glue caused the wood to swell. So I will go in here and I will mark out the outline of the guitar dark. And then I'll go grab jig 2 right away here and I will mark my cut line. So this will go continue down to here. And then we'll mark the pickup location as well. I don't have to cut anything out there yet. I'll just mark it to have it. And do the bridge and the bridge location and the knob location as well. Okay, so that's what we're left with. Awesome. I'll see you guys in a bit. Actually, let's show this to the camera. So that's what we're gonna look like. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye.